Hello guys, it is Teenage Marvel Fan, back with another video, and in today's video, I will be reviewing the latest episode of Guardians of the Galaxy, and this episode is titled Darkhawks on the Edge of Town. So this episode starts right where the last episode left off, and so the Guardians are going to use the Bifrost to go into the Darkhawk dimension. They're going to set off a bomb, and they're going to destroy it all. At least that's the plan. So, at the beginning of the episode, Odin decides to give all of them new, upgraded Asgardian weapons. So, Star-Lord gets Asgardian elemental blasters, Gamora gets some kind of sword, I think, and then Drax gets an axe. And then, because Groot doesn't use weapon, he just gave him the power to have these, tentacles or, extra legs. It basically looked how the legs looked on Iron Spider in Avengers Infinity War. And it also really reminded me of Dr. Octopus. I love Dr. Octopus, because he's just an awesome character. So yeah, I automatically thought of that. But I didn't really get this because wouldn't Groot be able to, make those legs without Odin giving them to him? So that part kind of confused me, but I didn't really pay too much attention to it because this is a kids show. So you don't really have to dive too deep into the minor details like that. But anyway, so they go to the Darkhawk dimension, and they come up with a plan to get inside the pods that contain people, so that they can then be taken to where everybody else is. So then they trick the Darkhawks into taking them to where everybody else is, and then after all the Darkhawks leave the room, the Guardians get out of the pods, and then they start looking around for Rocket, because obviously he was replaced by a Darkhawk. And this whole storyline really reminds me of the Skrulls, especially on Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That's a good show. If you haven't seen that, then you should probably check that out. That was on when I was, really little. But it's still a good show that dealt with the secret invasion and stuff. But anyway, so they're looking for Rocket, and then they find a pod with a hole in it. So they assume that Rocket broke out somehow, and then they turn around and they see Rocket. But Rocket thinks that they're Darkhawks because, well, he was replaced by a Darkhawk, and they're in the Darkhawk dimension, so he doesn't think that he can really trust anyone in there. But then, they have this battle, and then the real Darkhawks show up and start shooting at both Rocket and the Guardians. So then Rocket realizes that they're not Darkhawks, because if they were Darkhawks, then why would the other Darkhawks be firing at them and stuff? So then they start working together, they start fighting. Oh, they let out Cosmo and the Nova Prime. So then they're starting to rescue the people. So Nova Prime went through the portal so that she got to know where and she was in Cosmo's little hideout place or lab or whatever. And then Cosmo was in the Darkhawk dimension using his telepathic powers to move all of the pods onto Nowhere. And then Nova Prime was taking care of them once they got there. And then Odin and Thor and the Asgardians showed up on Nowhere as well to fight the Darkhawks that were there, because Cosmo was replaced by a Darkhawk. So the Darkhawk version of Cosmo was there. Yeah. So then the Guardians have to go set the bomb now. So then they go and they find the Serpent, which I forgot to mention in my review for the last episode. But the Serpent is who you're seeing on screen here, and he is Odin's brother. I think this is something from the comics, but I'm not too sure. So basically, Odin had to banish his brother because his brother was evil, and his brother was making Darkhawks. So the serpent kind of leads over the Darkhawks, and the serpent was like sleeping, kind of like how Odin does his Odin sleep usually. So they had to set the bomb right next to him, but they couldn't wake him up. But of course, they did wake him up, but they had the bomb set. So then, he wakes up, he starts talking to them, and then he decides that he wants to attack. So he has this axe thing, and he drops it, and as soon as it hits the ground, it just turns into these two giant serpents. So I guess that's why he's called the Serpent. And so then they fight the serpents, and then the bomb goes off. So then the place starts blowing up. So they have to get out of there. So then they run back into the room where Cosmo is, and then they tell him that he needs to hurry up on getting people out of there. So then they need to protect the portal while Cosmo is getting people out of there, so that the Serpent and the Darkhawks can't get to nowhere and see Odin. So they protect it, and then Cosmo gets the last person out, and then they're getting ready to go. They all jump through the portal, and then you think that they close it, but apparently not in time, because then once they're on nowhere, the portal opens again, and then Serpent and his serpents come through the portal, and then they have this fight with them. For this being like a Disney XD low quality animation type show, they had some good choreography when it came to this to the fight scenes here. And the serpents had Odin and Thor like captured or like stuck, and then Peter Quill, he used his new element blasters to turn the serpents into ice. So then the serpent, he slipped, and then he fell back through the portal. So then they thought that they closed it again, but apparently not in time. So they had to overload the computers. But while they were overloading the computers, the serpents broke free of the ice, and Serpent came back out of the portal, and they were fighting again. But then they finally overloaded the computers, or the portal or something, and then it basically sent Serpent and his serpents back through the portal and into the Darkhawk dimension. So I think this pretty much wraps up this storyline. Like pretty much after this, they just go through to the different planets, getting rid of the Darkhawks that were placed there and stuff. So I think that's it for Darkhawks for now. I'm not too sure what the next episode is going to be, but these two latest episodes were pretty good, so I'm excited to see what they have next. And yeah, so let me know down in the comments below what you thought of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video, so I can bestow all my Marvel knowledge upon you.